And tonight, in another clear sign that Iran's evil regime is struggling to stay afloat, its newly anointed supreme leader is nowhere to be found. Today, the Secretary of War announced that he was wounded and disfigured. Other reports claim that he's in a coma and isn't even aware of his new role. Here now with reaction, former Deputy National Security Advisor Victoria Coates. So great to have you this evening. Thank you for joining us. What does your gut tell you is the situation with the supreme leader at the moment?
Well, Charlie, good to be with you, too. I mean, what I'm seeing here is chaos in Tehran. There is really no strong decision-making being made. They're kind of firing things off randomly. They're in this kind of weird dialogue with China, and nothing is progressing for them. So my guess is that Mojtaba Khamenei is indeed incapacitated, at least to some extent, if not dead, as was reported earlier today. So they have no central command and control. So they have no response to something like what President Trump did today, which was supposed to be impossible. You're not supposed to ever touch Kharg Island because this is going to destroy energy coming out of the Gulf. Guess what? He said, no, I'm going to do it. I'm going to reach out and touch it. I'm going to destroy the military installations, and if I want to, I'll destroy the energy installations. So I don't really see much of a response out of Tehran.
So I'm glad you mentioned the Kharg Island thing because, you know, obviously that gives the U.S. some control, obviously, over the, the loading of ships, oil tankers at that end. But that doesn't necessarily get that tanker through the Strait of Hormuz. How does this strategy of taking control of Kharg Island wind up giving the U.S. the ability to provide safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz?
Well, it's a multi-pronged strategy, Charlie, because what we also have is we have what's called the Petroline pipeline between Abqaiq and Yanbu. That's across the Saudi Arabian peninsula. You can run up to 5 million barrels a day across that. And what we're seeing is all the tankers are going into the Red Sea, which suggests that the Houthi have stood down. And we're going to start to move a whole lot of energy through that pipeline. And there's a corresponding natural gas pipeline with it as well. So it's a little bit clunkier than what you'd like to see, just loading up a tanker and running it through. But this is a way to run the energy out. That means we don't need the Strait as much as the Iranians do. So when you mentioned the Houthis,
obviously there are some ships that are getting out that are, that Iran wants to get out. And I'm assuming that the Iranian government is getting paid for those shipments. At what point do the payments to, say, the Houthis or Hamas or Hezbollah, at what point does that money dry up and we start seeing those proxies for Iran walk away?
It's drying up right now, and we've heard nothing from Hamas. We've heard only words from the Houthi. We've seen a little bit out of Hezbollah, but Israel is responding very, very strongly. So in a way, if you look at it, mining the Strait of Hormuz is suicidal for Iran because that's where they're still running some oil out to China. That's their last revenue coming in. And the economic problems that they had that caused those massive demonstrations in December, they haven't fixed them. They've gotten worse. So for them, they're making their ultimate predicament even more dire than it was 2 weeks ago.
So what can you do about a ship that Iran has allowed to pass through unmolested, that's filled with oil, that's headed to China? What can you do about that after it's gotten through the Strait of Hormuz?
Well, if it's sanctioned, like any of the rest of the shadow fleet, we can interdict it. So that's
but I would
a process.
think that would be a pretty
that's
big
something
deal
that you do. But we can, yes.
I mean, if we interdicted a ship that was headed to China, that would be pretty high stakes.
Well, we've done some others. We've done some in the Indian Sea, so it's not unprecedented, and it's perfectly legal. So we'll see what happens.
So let me ask you this: one of the things that I'm always concerned about with Iran is this sort of Armageddon button. At some point, they have nothing left to lose. They truly have nothing left to lose, and they do something catastrophic that not only destroys it destroys themselves, but it also destroys the rest of the world. How worried are you about that? How would they do that? Or do you think they've already tried to do that?
I don't think they have an Armageddon button yet, Charlie, and I think that's why President Trump is taking this action, so that they don't. I think he agrees that they would be far too likely to push that button if they had it. So what he's doing right now is trying to defang that, trying to negate all of that risk to the American people. And that's what's so important here. This is a risk against us. Today is Quds Day. That's their Death to America Day. For 47 years, they've been celebrating that with chants of death to America, with military parades in Tehran. And so I think that's the paradigm he's trying to break and say, we're not going to do this anymore. We're not going to let them get to that Armageddon moment.
And I guess one of the worries that you might have is that Iran might do something to actually destroy those oil depots on Karg Island. Victoria Coates, thank you so much for breaking this all down for us.